All right, check this out. Ridiculous.
Andrew, do you feel lucky or unlucky?
Well, obviously unlucky that it happened to us, but I guess very lucky that we happened to be, really in the safest car on the road.
Andrew owns a Tesla, and that night he wasn't driving. The car was 110 k's an hour down the freeway, and when the window exploded, the car drove on, nice and steady. Tesla, the world's safest car in a meteor shower. And Andrew, you think that because the car was in this self-driving mode that it saved your life?
It certainly did, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Because there was a period there where we were incapacitated with all this flying glass and smoke and just in total shock. And it was a really, really violent explosion. But while we were incapacitated, the car was quite happy to keep going on. It was amazing. So, yeah. Thank you, Tesla.
How good is this, and what are the odds? Now, for those who don't know, this is Australia. Guarantee if this was in the US, the narrative from the media wouldn't have been Tesla the safest vehicle in a meteor shower, but instead, self-driving Tesla dangerously crashes into innocent meteorite, destroying windshield, glass flying everywhere, very dangerous, Tesla bad. Just consider for a moment what it would be like if you were in a vehicle, driving manually, flying down a freeway at night, and a fucking meteorite smashes into your vehicle. By the time you realise what's happening, you've probably flown off the side of the freeway and are possibly airborne, upside down, and about to meet your maker. What a wild, epic story, and you can tell from the look on his face. Happy to be alive, and has quite the tale to tell. While we're talking about safety and vehicles and Tesla, here's Waymo's co-CEO. For those who don't know, Waymo has an engineer as the CEO, co-CEO, and then of course we have, 3 letters just came to mind, I'm not sure why. Anyway, we also have this one, who I think her job is to talk to the media, and I'm guessing that Waymo's other co-CEO is a bit too much on the spectrum to be interacting with media, and instead is actually just working on engineering related matters. This, by the way, is the same extremely capable co-CEO who definitely earned it, who only a few months ago at most was implying that Tesla vehicles couldn't see at night because they didn't have LiDAR. I'm not kidding, by the way. I feature that on a video. Now, I'm not going to jump the gun and suggest that she is cut from the same cloth as Mary B.S. Barra of Government Motors, but let's hear what she had to say when pressed about Tesla by an interviewer who was hoping to have her imply that Tesla may in fact be cutting corners when it comes to safety.
Things you have said, and you said it earlier actually, is that companies trying to make the road safer is a positive thing. So who is on that list, and does it include Tesla?
No. I don't know. Like it's actually goes back to the transparency point. I don't know who's on that list because they're not telling us what's happening with their fleets. And I think there is a responsibility if you're gonna put vehicles on the road and you're gonna remove the driver from behind the wheel and you're gonna have someone in some other room observing the fleet who can take over the vehicles. It is incumbent upon you to be transparent about what's happening. And if you are not being transparent, then it is my view that you are not doing what is necessary in order to actually earn the right to make the road safer.
So based on that definition, is Tesla doing the work? Is it transparent in your view?
What do you think?
That is quite the way to end this. And I will say likely no. So
Okay.
go back, right back at you.
Awesome.
Oh, my mic's on. Sorry, you guys caught me joining in the laughter. So let's talk about Tesla and safety, which happens to be their number one priority. Tesla.com/safety. In a completely untransparent act, Tesla has a public page dedicated to explaining their priority, their focus on safety, and they have plenty of receipts, data, and facts to back up their so-called claims. Very strange thing to do for a company that's not particularly transparent by being so transparent. Now, if you guys want to head to this website, you can watch some of the details and information about Tesla engineering vehicles for safety in the event of a collision, although they're as much designed to avoid collisions in the first place. I mean, it's extremely untransparent to dedicate an entire page on your website to explaining in detail safety around the battery pack, impact protection, the structural integrity, crumple zones, their advanced airbags, which, by the way, are next fucking level. You should learn about this if you haven't already. Crazy. I mean, maybe Tesla accidentally published this page. Should we let them know that they made a mistake and accidentally made this available to anyone on the planet to learn about, to understand the automatic emergency braking, blind spot collision warning, forward collision warning, lane departure avoidance? Should we show them some of the crash tests that they've done? Does Tesla know that they have a page explaining that they provide over-the-air software updates to increase the safety of their vehicles over time? Does Tesla know that their vehicles continue to get 5-star safety ratings? Doesn't matter the model or the country or region. 5-star overall safety rating. NHTSA, Cybertruck. Model Y, 5-star safety rating. X, 5-star. 3, 5-star. S, 5-star. And why would Tesla publish a safety report, a vehicle safety report? Tesla.com/vehicle safety report. Do they know that they've accidentally told the world that the Model S3, X and Y have achieved among the lowest overall probability of injury of any vehicles ever tested in the US? Do they know this? Uh-oh, what's this? Miles driven per one accident. Uh-oh. I think Tesla's made a big mistake here and accidentally published some data from their existing fleet. Some accident per mile data, in fact. Comparing Tesla vehicles using autopilot technology with Tesla vehicles not using autopilot technology, which is a great comparison. Tesla vehicle with a human driver versus autopilot. This is probably the best like-for-like comparison to demonstrate the capabilities of collision avoidance of autopilot, because you have to factor in, if you're just comparing with the US average, which is also included, the US average probably isn't as well maintained, may not be as aggressive in terms of braking capabilities and so on. Nice to have, but it'd be really worth focusing on the difference between a Tesla vehicle being driven by a human and a Tesla vehicle on autopilot. Until quite recently, it appears now Tesla's quarterly earnings update combines autopilot and FSD. Prior to then though, autopilot was its own distinct category and typically is only engaged on highways, so you have to factor that in. This is why I believe it is much more important for Tesla to be comparing autopilot miles versus Tesla vehicles not on autopilot, as opposed to just comparing that to US average. It's also useful to have that, but just some important context. I'm not trying to be unreasonable here. Tesla can report the data they have, just have to consider this as well. So let's have a look at this data that Tesla's accidentally published in a failed conspiracy to keep this information from the public. Million miles driven before an accident occurs. On autopilot, more than 6 million miles per accident. Tesla not on autopilot, almost 1 million miles versus the US average below that. I notice in Q2, also in excess of 6 million miles driven on autopilot before a single accident versus a little under 1 million when in a Tesla not on autopilot versus US average even lower. I'm noticing a bit of a trend here. It seems that this data that Tesla's accidentally published, someone's definitely going to get fired over that, indicates quite clearly that Tesla vehicles operating on their autopilot software are significantly safer than Tesla vehicles being driven by humans and significantly safer than the US average vehicle as well. I mean, I guess we could keep scrolling. Maybe the trend would change. This is less than 1 every 6 million miles. Keep going. What's over 6? In fact, that's over 7. Why is there so much data on this website? Why does Tesla have quarterly data provided to the public on Tesla.com/vehicle safety report every single quarter going back many years? Someone's definitely getting fired over this. It's obviously a mistake. I mean, why would Tesla have published this data? And why, by the way, the further I go back in time, is the blue bar getting smaller, seeming to suggest that Tesla vehicles on autopilot in the last 5-ish years have become significantly safer. Why would that be the case? That's really weird. In fact, I'm going to keep scrolling here all the way back. Q3 2018, first available information. One accident per a little over 3 million miles on autopilot. Q1 2020 and beyond, 1 every 4, then almost immediately 5, low 4s, back around 5, then 6. I mean, it seems to me quite clear that Tesla is not only extremely transparent in publishing their fleet-wide data for the US, where autopilot is legal and has been operating in Tesla vehicles for more than half a decade. Not only are they quite transparent in publishing this data, but it also shows quite clearly that autopilot has become significantly safer as measured by millions of miles driven before an accident occurs over time. Why would Tesla be publishing on X a table showing their safety ratings for different vehicles? 3, Y, S, X, US, Europe, Asia. By the way, 5 stars across the board. Why would they do this? How transparent of them. Oh, you caught me laughing again. It's just so fun to laugh at Tesla. Now, if you're a little, let's say, intellectually dishonest or disingenuous, you might come back and say, Stephen, but Stephen, who cares about Tesla's fleet-wide data showing autopilot? What about their Robotaxi fleet that's literally only been operating for a couple of months so far, at fairly low scale so far, and thus no statistically significant data so far to publish? Where's that page? And believe me, at scale, when Tesla has sufficient data to be meaningful, it will be published too. But of course, Waymo's been operating for a long time. They definitely publish this data, clearly. So let's have a look at Waymo's safety data page right now. Here we go. Love me some transparency. All right. Okay, let's see here. The trust and safety of the communities where, oh God, fucking please don't. That's why we're voluntarily sharing our safety data. Cool. The data to date indicates the Waymo driver is already making roads safer in the places where we currently operate. Specifically, the data below demonstrates that the Waymo driver is better than humans at avoiding crashes. Wait for it. No, not at avoiding crashes. At avoiding crashes that result in injuries. But hang on, wait a second. Wait. I have a question. I'm pretty dumb, midwit at best, but I just would like to think through this. In which scenario is the probability of injury highest? Scenario 1, at maximum legal speeds on roads, e.g. on freeways, highways, and so on, or at much lower speeds, aka velocities. For example, in the metropolitan areas in which Waymo is currently operating in cities. In which situation, if you do find yourself in a collision, are you most likely to be injured? Now, like I said, I'm not super smart, but I have enough of an understanding of physics to understand that energy and mass are both pretty important factors here. And the faster you're going, all other things being equal, the more energy involved, therefore the higher the probability of injury. Now, call me skeptical, but based on the way that this word salad has been phrased, if I were skeptical, I might suggest that Waymo, which I'm not being a hater here, but seem to be attempting to portray the fact that their vehicles are operating in metropolitan areas at much lower speeds than they would be if they were also operating on highways, freeways, and so on. Trying to suggest that their vehicles are broadly safer than the average US driver while simultaneously having to admit that they're actually only operating at low speeds in metro areas, often stuck in traffic. Let's just read this in full. Specifically, the data below demonstrates the Waymo driver is better than humans at avoiding crashes that result in injuries. And now they clarify both of any severity and specifically serious ones. Okay, wait for it. As well as those that lead to airbag deployments. So riddle me this. Exactly how fast do you need to be moving before being involved in a collision for an airbag to deploy? What are the odds that you gently run into the back of a vehicle creeping along at a set of lights at very low speeds and your airbag doesn't deploy? Now, call me a deluded Tesla fanboy, but already I am a little bit skeptical here. To be clear, I actually do believe that Waymo's vehicles overall are safer than human drivers in the regions they're operating. Now, I mean this, but this paragraph here rubs me a little bit the wrong way. It continues. This hub compares the Waymo drivers' rider-only crash rates to human crash benchmarks for surface streets. So at least this is apples to apples. So let's find their collisions per million miles data. I mean, that'd be the easiest metric, right? Collisions, not injuries per collision. Like, just collisions, right? E.g., rule number 1, when you're driving, don't crash. I mean, that's rule number 1, right? Don't fucking crash, bro. So let's find that data. That's the easiest thing we can use as a metric. Because we know the human driver average, right? At least tell us that. So I'm just having a look now. Waymo has driven 96 million rider-only miles without a human driver. Well, that's good. So now we have the number of miles driven, so we can just find the number of collisions, and then we'll have a decent basis of comparison. Keep in mind that these will be surface streets, so it's not going to be the US average. Let's have a look here. Okay, we've got rider-only miles in different locations. That's good. Here, the human benchmarks. Compared to an average human driver over the same distance in our operating cities, the Waymo driver had 20 fewer serious injury or worse crashes. That's good. Fewer airbag deployments, 125 fewer, and 304 fewer injury-causing crashes. Okay, but how about the collision data? Remember, rule number 1 is don't fucking crash. Where's that? Now, we've got incidents involving pedestrians. I mean, the numbers look good. They're better than human, of course. They'd want to be with your action speed of a computer, but I'm just trying to find the collisions. Rule number 1. What's rule number 1, everybody? Don't fucking crash. Waymo driver compared to human benchmarks. Airbag deployments. Any injury. Wait, they're not combined, are they? Airbag deployments plus any injury. So the graphs below show how many fewer incidents, crashes, per million miles. Here we go. Waymo had compared to human drivers with the benchmark crash rate. Here we go. So where's the number? Oh, hang on. Before we get to that, the comparisons in Atlanta and Austin are not shown here due to Waymo's limited mileage in these cities, which means the results are not yet statistically significant. Wait, hang on. Oh, you caught me laughing again at Tesla. So you're telling me that the Waymo page with the safety data admits that in some regions they don't yet have sufficient miles to provide statistically significant safety data. Therefore, they don't provide it yet because they don't have enough miles because it's not statistically significant. The same shit I said earlier in this video. Imagine my shock. That's rather awkward. Apparently below we're going to see crashes per million miles. So let's try and find that. Serious injury or worse, crash rate. No, we don't want that. We just want crashes. Airbag deployment crash, but we don't want that either. Any injury reported crash rates. No, we don't want injury reported crash rates or airbag deployment crash rates or serious. No, we want just crash rates. Where's just crash rates? Here we go. Waymo driver compared to human benchmarks. Percent difference in crash rate. Here we go. Fucking finally. Jeez, they buried this. Are you fucking serious, bro? This is the same shit. Percent difference to benchmark. All areas. Okay, cool. Phoenix, San Francisco, LA. What? They're only showing serious injury or worse, airbag deployment, and separately, any injury reported. Where is the crash per... Bro, rule number 1, don't fucking crash. Percent of Waymo driver collisions with less than 1 mile per hour change in velocity. Again, I just want to see crashes per mile. Not crashes that cause an injury or crashes that cause the airbags. Just don't crash, rule number 1. Airbag deployment crashes. Don't care, bro. Any injury reported crash. Don't care, bro. I've got to the FAQ section of the page. It turns out that that transparency that I was expecting to see on the Waymo safety page after the co-CEO implied that Tesla was not transparent enough with their safety data, that crash per mile, the core, don't fucking crash, bro. You know, that rule number 1, I can't find it on the fucking website. Now, I've taken a quick detour and asked Grok to try and estimate, just to distill this. Look, let's just be honest here. This page is designed intentionally to obfuscate the real facts. It's too complicated. Grok has looked at this website and told me that the not average miles before collision, because that's not provided, because, you know, transparency and all. No. But the average Waymo vehicle drives approximately 1.26 million miles before a collision, wait for it, a collision that causes any reported injury. So it doesn't include collisions that no injury was reported. Oh, my hand's a bit sore, but who cares? I don't need to mention that. And doesn't include other collisions that no injury was reported whatsoever. So, yeah, thanks for that transparency, Waymo, you fuckwits. Now, perhaps you may recall me featuring a clip a few years ago of Mark Repito explaining that complexity appeals to stupid people. This Waymo safety page is the very definition of unnecessary complexity. At the very least, in addition to this intentional clusterfuck, at least just distill collisions, accidents per million miles driven. Just give us that one piece of information. Remember, rule number 1 is don't fucking crash. I do want to be clear. It's evident that Waymo vehicles on average are safer than human drivers in these areas. I'm not saying that they're unsafe. I'm just saying, bro, where's the fucking data? It's like they're cherry picking, making it too hard to discern the underlying incident rate of their vehicles. From complexity appealing to stupid people to Tesla's million miles driven per accident. Pretty easy to tell on Tesla's website how capable their autopilot software is. And good luck for anybody, even with an IQ of 100, to discern the actual accident rate per Waymo vehicle by visiting this webpage. And I'm not arguing against not providing this information as well, but bro, come on. The most fundamental thing you can provide to people is how often your vehicles are involved in collisions. ... No caveat. Just involved in collisions, not collisions that cause injury. Collisions that cause an airbag, just collisions. Transparency, my ass. Oh shit, you caught me again. That's awkward. Before anybody accuses me of being rude, mean, unreasonable, which I often am, it's neither rude, mean, or obnoxious to accurately point out that this woman, the co-CEO of Waymo, is a fucking moron. Why would you take shots at Tesla implying that they lack transparency because they're not currently publishing specific data on their very small scale so far Robotaxi incident per miles, etc. in Austin and California? By the way, for those of you playing along at home, Tesla recently disclosed on the Q3 earnings call just over 250,000 miles done in Austin so far, and just over 1 million in California, 1.25 million total miles. Surely, it's not possible unless you're an absolute fuckwit to fire shots at Tesla while your own website, the Waymo safety information page, explicitly states that data for some cities is not provided yet because they do not have sufficient data to be statistically significant, and therefore no data for you. Now again, before you suggest that I'm being unreasonable, look, there's no data for Austin yet. Waymo through June 2025 had collected over 3.225 million miles of data. Yet they decide that that is not sufficient enough to be statistically significant. Tesla, currently, not as of June, but actually end of September, had just exceeded 250,000 miles. Take her fucking microphone away. Again, a couple of months ago, this dumbass is implying that Tesla vehicles can't see at night because they don't have LiDAR. And now this, the ultimate own goal. I'm not sure that she's co-CEO based on merit or competence. Every time she opens her mouth and mentions Tesla, it's a massive own goal. It is actually okay to give credit where it's due. As I've done in this video, Waymo are actually operating vehicles safer than human drivers in the regions they're currently operating. Google's parent company Alphabet, which happens to own Waymo, just posted their first ever $100 billion quarter. $100 billion in a single quarter of revenue. To which Elon Musk responds, nice work. Not,
You suck. More transparency. You're a loser. What do you think?
when Waymo's co-CEO was asked this provocative question, you know what the proper response would have been? We applaud Tesla's efforts to bring safe autonomous vehicles to consumers in the US and throughout the world. It will save a lot of lives, prevent a lot of injuries. But no, that wasn't her response. She's absolutely related to Mary B. Aspara. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 has been part of my daily health protocol for almost half a decade. It's packed full of vitamins and minerals and helps me fill in nutritional gaps while supporting energy, digestion, and immune function. It also has prebiotics and probiotics to promote gut health. I take my health very seriously, and so should you. Try AG1 today by visiting drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment and enjoy a free welcome kit with vitamin D3 plus K2 and AG1 travel packs. That's drinkag1.com/SMR.